Good morning. Today I wanted to show my viewers a few of the knives that I have a special preference for. The one common denominator with all of these, as you can see, is they are kukris, with the exception of that one. This one is made by Cold Steel. It's called the Kukri Machete. And it's just a stamped piece of, I think it's 1055 carbon steel. And it's made in South Africa. But for 20 bucks, after you learn how to sharpen it, this thing is amazing. This is the sweet spot here, just so you know. This one is made by Ka-Bar. This one, I don't mean to criticize, but for me personally, I don't really care too much. It's a little bit top heavy. I find it hard to recover from that. However, this one here, which is made by Cold Steel, this is the Gurkha Kukri. I put my little lanyard on it for good reason. And here we go. This is my favorite. I would never pick up a sword when I had this handy. I would prefer this over a sword. The cutting power of this blade is amazing when you learn how to use it. And as I said, you have with every cutting tool, there's a sweet spot, and I suggest to you that the spot is around here. This thing is amazing. Besides being an excellent agricultural tool, it's really good at butchering meat. And when you study the history of the Gurkhas, they're an amazing people. So I would suggest anyone who's interested in knives should really take a look at the kukris. When I first saw them, I thought they were the strangest sort of knife on the world, on the planet. And I didn't understand them. But now, believe me, I am sold. Next, this little knife here is called a neck knife. It comes in a sheath. It's made by Cold Steel. It's called the Cold Steel Tanto Spike. As you can see how thick it is. Got a few dings there. It's just had a light sharpening. And the reason I like this is when I was a young man, I was trained in mortuary work. So I'm very familiar with the use of scalpels in the application of making incisions. Now, I was trained before I made an incision in a corpse so I could embalm it. There's a proper way to hold your scalpel, and this is the way I was taught, like this. Therefore, you can then put the blade against the cadaver and then draw across. I should point out, when I do embalming, I don't work through huge incisions. I try to make the incisions as small as possible. I also should point out, I no longer do that work anymore because I don't find it interesting. But I also want to tell you that for what this costs, this is also one of the best steak knives anyone could have, because when you sharpen this properly, you can cut your steaks paper thin, and that's great if you're making sandwiches. And it also allows you to get close to the bone. It also makes an excellent letter sharpener, and I'm sure you could find all sorts of good purposes for a nice quality little knife like this. I highly recommend these things, although I don't know what they're like now. Once again, I want to thank you people for your time, interest, and attention. Cheers.